We still have Etim Eyo here with us. He's the coordinator of Nigeria Nostalgia Group. By the way, why Nostalgia Group?
The Nostalgia Group, I think nostalgia is the way that we try to create, to extract an identity for Nigeria in general. I think that's what it is. We use nostalgia as a tool because this is where we try to create positive experiences for Nigerians so that we can begin to think better of ourselves.
Okay. I wanted us to look at another angle because when you talk about information, one of the information we also got was the news of international community getting to share this concern and pain, and to the extent that we got some form of help from even the United States. So one, are you satisfied, or have you felt any need to question why we're still counting and we haven't actually seen the girls now? Because when they said they were coming in, a lot of Nigerians heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that, well, in a couple of days, they'll be back home.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you can actually achieve within, after 35 days, which is when, you've received American help, or when you received, a lot of the foreign help that did come. There probably was some sort of, foreign presence before the actual announcement came about, but the time lapse between when the girls were taken away and the time the search began leaves so much room for a variety of possibilities. So you are looking at a situation where, and what can they bring? I mean, the Americans are not familiar. If we're not familiar with the territory, I don't think the Americans are any more familiar with it. If the British, same with the British or anyone else. And so it's a situation where there's going to be a lot of dependence. Any kind of solution which the foreign governments may provide to you will be dependent on how much of a concerted effort and process that you have, an effective process that you have on ground, so that then that can just be a bit of icing on the cake for you to go ahead and make some success of whatever effort you're involved in. Now, we know that we're finding out now that there are issues within the military. There are issues within our process. We know that there are issues within our process. So, how much time or how much success can actually be achieved with the technological help that we're receiving, I don't know at this point, because I'm assuming it's satellite images. You can, you're able to track terrain, monitor terrain, etc. And if you see, a group of 300 girls walking across the hills, you'll be able to find. I don't know what.
Looking at what you just highlighted now, I'm trying to look at the time lapse, which definitely would have given the insurgents time to actually, hide them properly, so to speak, from praying eyes. Do you think that for those who have actually mooted the idea of a swap, now getting the girls out and releasing some of the members of the sect would be the next option?
Yeah, in these kinds of situations, the fact of the matter is that you have to do whatever you have to do. Now, the general, I guess the general attitude is that you shouldn't really negotiate with terrorists. You really shouldn't, because you really don't want to put your entire country at risk. You're putting your whole country up for a negotiation, basically, with people who don't really care about you. So the idea of openly negotiating and having a formal negotiating should be off the table. But certainly, if there is a way within your intelligence to infiltrate, to communicate, to bargain for maybe release of some girls or something, these kinds of efforts should not be completely erased, and they should really be pursued. All efforts should be pursued so that you can actually begin to make progress. But you have to have a clear goal in mind of what you want to do. Now, yes, there's been a lot of talk about negotiating with Boko Haram to release the girls by exchanging prisoners and all that sort of thing. I don't even know how far that is. That's not something that I think formally the government can take on. It's not something that they can take on and say this is what our policy is going to be in this process. So they have to keep on doing whatever efforts within that.
It's a good
search.
thing you qualify that. I mean, you say formally. They can't say that formally. In other words, informally, they can actually be. Doesn't mean that they could be pursuing.
The thing is that if you're negotiating formally, it means that there are set terms. This is where we're going to give you prisoners, and you give us back our girls. Mm-hmm. That won't work because these people, their objective is really to destroy whatever infrastructure framework you have in your country. So, even if you succeeded in doing that, how do you tackle the problem of Boko Haram itself?
The question a host of people also raise is the question of time.
Yeah.
Do you think that the more time we take, is it that the closer we'll become, or the more desperate we will become to get the girls out? In the sense that they might see that we might have a weakness in terms of locating them, and that could actually raise the stakes if at all we're going to be doing negotiation.
Absolutely. If they know that you're considering negotiating with them, then obviously they know that we have, it's a negotiation. I have the upper hand, don't I? Or I'm a little bit.
No, I'm looking at the factor of time in the sense that the longer it's 49 days already. If we're not making much progress, because ostensibly we're saying that government is not taking the path of negotiation and is trying to get back the girls, conventionally in terms of, overpowering the militants and see what they can do. But one would think that if you're pursuing formal and informal routes, which could also include negotiating, it puts you in a better stead, as to be able to find which way will get the girls faster.
Yes, if you're talking about a question of time, then, time. As I said, there are so many possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
I can only think logically from my own perspective, but which is like you have 300 girls. How do you feed them every day? How do you look? What's the process?
So that's a factor also for Boko Haram.
Right, it's a factor for Boko Haram. So do they keep them all in one place? Do they are they dispersed in different locations and things like that? So what do we do in those circumstances? And simplistically, I'm even thinking that we don't have a case of 300 girls missing, right? We have a case of 300 individual missing children cases. So we should be, right now, I think we should be familiarizing with the faces, the names, and printing missing children, whatever it is, dropping them off in remote areas to perhaps even cause some people who see them, offering a reward as well and things like that for each child or whatever it is, and saying this is, whatever the name of the child is. And this information is dispersed is disseminated amongst in the areas in the affected areas. It's very difficult to put forward these kinds of solutions, especially when you don't know what the full details of what is actually going on. But sometimes simple things may work as well, because you need people to be able to give you information so you know that this is a girl. Because right now, if they walked past me on the road, I wouldn't know who they were.